my name's Scott. I'm a content creator for almost 2 years, and I like to inject some joy back into people's lives by doing comedy skits. Hopefully, you've seen some of them. But yeah, I had a very messy childhood growing up. I didn't really get to enjoy the things a normal child should enjoy. Um, I my parents got a divorce very, very quickly. I grew up in an abusive household. So a lot of the times I had to I guess I used comedy and I used jokes and self-deprecation and all of these things as kind of a guard to make light of something that was so heavy for me at the time. And I guess it carried forward even into my adulthood. But as an adult, I had to face a lot of the things head on, a lot of the problems, a lot of the traumas that followed me into my adult years, and I had to deal with them. I couldn't just use comedy as a guise anymore, but I understand that not everyone grows up in a very perfect picture like family, and what I bring why I started my channel and why I wanted to do comedy of all things was to really just take people away for just a few seconds or like a minute or two from the realities of this war and the craziness, and to just feel light again, share a laugh, put a smile back on that face. So that means a lot to me, especially as someone who has gone through a lot of mental health stuff. I've gone through so much therapy. I couldn't even finish army because of mental health, so I've not finished army. And a lot of people would look at that as weakness. Even I looked at that as weakness. I didn't take the normal path. I didn't do very well in my academics because all of the darkness happened when I was in my school years, so I couldn't really focus.
Secondary school, primary school?
Yeah, all the way until secondary school. And I was even heavily bullied while I was in secondary school and primary school. I was just constantly bullied. Honestly, I'm surprised that I'm still even here. And I'm honestly surprised that I can still be someone who has joy, And I guess that also can have a lot to do with my faith lah. A lot of it changed when I guess I found my church community. So now I am in a better place. I'm still figuring life out. I'm still new to this content creating thing. Like I said, I'm only like 2 years in, and I feel like an imposter sometimes in this industry, because prior to that I was actually crew. I was doing a lot of videoing, photography, doing a lot of editing, archiving, a lot of event coverage, a lot of planning, a lot of script writing, but I was never the person in front of the camera, so it feels very weird to suddenly be in front of the camera. And it's so vulnerable to put yourself out there and have haters and people that support you at the same time. So it's just a crazy mix of feelings. I guess I just had to do the best I could with the hand that I've been dealt with, I still tried my best in school. But I never really figured out life until after school, if that makes sense. I still finished the highest qualification that I have is a diploma, so it's not even university, because I was always thinking like I'm so tired of school, and I feel like I'm a born creative, I always felt like innately I knew that I was a creative, and I felt like a piece of paper on uni is not going to prove anything to anyone. It's what you bring to the table as a creative, whether you're good at script writing, whether you're gifted at like acting or something like that, So I was like, oh, you know what, uni may not be for me. So I guess in society, having a diploma, and why I said it like, oh, I just have a diploma, I guess people dumb it down and think like, oh, you have to have like a degree or bachelor's, that kind of thing. And I feel like just something in me, I had an annoying feeling that I didn't need that piece of paper to do what I wanted to do or achieve what I wanted to achieve in life. And I guess my mom also was like, you don't want to go uni, And I said, I guess at that point in time, I was so frustrated with life already, because I went through so much already. I was already so frustrated. I was like, you know what? Screw it. Like, I'm just going to do what I want.
As you should.
I had a little breaking point lah, because let's say I was working. I guess what made me want to go into the creative line, all of that was I tried out many other jobs. I tried out what people tell me that is successful. Like I actually tried out going to like piloting school. If that makes I even tried so many things that my mom wanted me to try, and I just didn't like it. I hated it. I just kept looking at the clock and like kept looking at, oh my god, I want to go home. Like this is the worst thing in the world. And I really sat with myself one day and I asked myself, is this what I want to be doing where for the rest of my life? Is this the path that I'm choosing? Everybody has their quarter life crisis lah, especially when you hit like 20s, right? You're like, oh my god, I want whatever path I commit myself to, that's it already, and to pivot is gonna waste a lot of time in some people's eyes lah. So for real, I actually went down a path of I have to do what people see as successful, like do the corporate, do the whatever, right? But when I was there, I was treated like crap, first of all. And I was like, is this really worth putting up for? I'm not happy. I don't like what I'm doing, even though it's paying you decently and whatever. So I said, you know what, screw it, I'm just gonna pivot. And I guess that was the best decision of my life, because these past 2 years doing content creating and all of that, it's been so liberating, first of all. And second, I'm very glad that the fruits that it has produced is in abundance lah, to where I am comfortable, and I'm very thankful and I'm very glad. Pivot to content creation, it was because like one night my boss was just screaming at me at 1 a.m. and like she was like, I was literally crying on the phone 1 a.m. I'm doing her work and I'm crying. And I'm like, you know what? My mom and my brother saw me have that meltdown. So, and they're my only family living with me. So they saw that. And thankfully I didn't have any criticism from them because they already saw how bad it was. And then, so I don't know if you know, but Aiken Chia is my cousin, the Food King, like that one. So he encouraged me to actually do content creation for a long time already. Very long. He's been saying, you should just start your own thing, try. And I guess a lot of fear and a lot of like insecurities held me back. I didn't really want to be in front. I didn't want to receive criticism. Yes, I like attention, who doesn't? But at the same time, I don't crave it. I'm not that kind where I need it. I'm just like, so I was like, but I had to get to that breaking point. Only then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it my best shot. And I told myself, if it didn't fruit or if it didn't produce, if I didn't see it as something that could become full-time, then I would give it up. But thankfully there wasn't anybody saying anything negative or anybody trying to discourage that or whatever. I'm very thankful. So everybody kind of like, okay lah. My mom was worried, obviously, as every mom, because she's like, oh my gosh, like, it took about 6 months for my first paid collab. Yeah, so my mom in that 6 months of no pay, right, she obviously was super worried lah. And I could tell because I'm working at home and she also works at home. So she's just always lingering, always asking me questions, and I'm just like, you know what, just trust the process. And she was like, can you give me a timeline of when you will stop this and get a job and all of that lah. So I told her, funnily enough, 6 months. And in 6 months, I got my first client. So honestly, doing content creation for 2 years only, I guess, I still feel like I have imposter syndrome because I've always been the one behind the camera, right? I've always been crew. I've always been the one filming the talent. So to suddenly see myself on the other side and to suddenly become the talent, I feel like, oh my god, like, what are you trying to do? What are you trying, like, who are you trying to, I just feel very like, man, whenever I go to like events, I always feel like I don't belong, you know, in a sense. Like I just feel like, oh my gosh, everybody has been in the game for really, really long. Being a content creator, independent content creator, suddenly having to liaise with clients and all of these things, right, is a very new thing to me. I've always been a follower. I've never been the one that people follow, you know? So I'm just a bit like, I just feel like I guess I'm learning a lot about myself where I don't think I'm at that place of security yet where I can say and be confident that, you know, I am a content creator and I belong to, and I can take up space, you know? I haven't really grown to that level yet. And it's a journey lah, you know. I'm aware of that, I'm thankful, but I will hopefully get there. But now that I'm in this rat race of like, especially in Singapore and it's pressuring society, right? I sometimes find myself very very stressed also. Even when I'm doing something that I love, if I'm being very honest. There are days where I really don't want to do content creating, you know? And sometimes I look at someone who opened I went to Japan recently and I saw someone open a coffee shop. I spoke to the owner and he was like, you know, I've been in business for a very long time. He was a director. And I said, why do you quit? Oh my gosh, you had such a high, you know, and he was like, honestly, I was just very tired and I'm very stressed. And he's young, by the way. He's not like retired. He's young. And he said, I just wanted to open my coffee shop and sell coffee. And this brings me so much joy. You know, and I was like, huh? And he wasn't and the coffee shop wasn't bustling, you know. It was like just a very high reviewed in a neighborhood, like just a few people. And I was like, wow, this guy, I was a bit jealous of his peace. I was a bit jealous of his joy, you know, because I was like, why am I striving even when I'm doing something that I love, like content creating? But I feel like I'm striving. I feel like I'm still working so hard and I'm stressed constantly. So I'm just like, that's his version of success. You know, starting a small coffee shop, even if it's like, you know, not earning like tens of thousands a month, but he's so happy. And I was jealous of that. So I guess with everybody, it's like, what the success look like to you, and what is your best in that season? It's always changing. I feel like success and someone's best should never be an end goal. It should never look like, oh, that's the peak, you know? But it's always something that is changing as we journey through life. Because my best and my version of success keeps changing. And to celebrate in that milestone of success in your life, for example, when it was me super depressed but getting a job and being able to do that job even though it didn't pay a lot, I now allow myself to celebrate the me back then that was able to accomplish that. And I'm proud of that version of myself, because that version has allowed me to become the person that I am today. And I don't find it wasted time. I feel like everybody has a journey that they have to go through specific to them, right? And for a while I looked at that as a waste of time. I wasted a lot of time. Suddenly only start at 30 years old as a content creator, like so old, you know. But I realize now in life that that journey was necessary. All that I went through was necessary for me to be able to stand as my own and to be secure enough to do the things that I'm doing now.